Please be advised that the topics covered during this video blog may be triggering and that some viewers may find upsetting, and if you feel you need to stop the video at some point, then please do. Hi everybody and welcome back to Eva's Echo. So we were contacted recently by Steve Dixon. He took part in our Christmas fundraiser in aid of Samaritans, and he told us recently that he now has a new publication for his new publishing company, Pretty Pug Publishing. So big congratulations to you, Steve. And we're absolutely delighted to have had the opportunity to read his latest publication, Gutted by Sharon Byrne. So Gutted is a dark comedy play. It is set in 1980s Dublin, and it follows the lives of three different women who are all in their late teens, early 20s. Their names are Dolores, Deirdre and Breda, and they all work in a fish factory in Dublin. And the characters are given the opportunity to tell their own narrative through the medium of their own monologues, and they also embody different characters throughout these monologues as well. Gutted was first performed in 2017. It featured in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and it's had a range of different performances since its debut. When I was reading the play, I couldn't help be transported back to a time that simulated the likes of the Snapper and the Commitments. So this would have been an era of severe recession, poverty and vast emigration. And these also affected the three characters, if not directly, then indirectly. And credit is due to the playwright for not only covering these, but a range of other topics that were not only relevant back then, but would resonate with a modern Irish audience today. In the case of domestic violence, the 80s would have been the beginning of the end of women being stuck in dangerous situations like this. But now, thanks to social expectations and expectations from the Catholic Church, anyone who was in an abusive relationship were left stuck, especially if they were married. Let's say, for example, if a victim came forward and told somebody, one of the first things they would have been asked, what did you do? So placing blame on the victim rather than the perpetrator. Now, the character who this affects, luckily they had refuge in their own mother's house, but there was still a threat there because the partner kept coming to their house, was stalking them on nights out, and on one particular incident attacked a guy that she was on a date with. Now, unplanned pregnancy. This is still a taboo subject in Ireland today, which is rather sad. There was one character in the play, for example, they were talking about how a girl down her street got pregnant, and that girl faced a lot of verbal abuse and a lot of gossiping. And then later on in the text, there were two elderly characters gossiping on the bus about how young mothers were now getting free housing and free handouts. During this time as well, there was also the threat of being sent away to the Magdalene laundries, so it was a tense and scary time for any young expectant mothers back then. When it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, Ireland wouldn't have been as colourful and accepting as it is today. Now, there is still so much work to be done in this area, of course, but to be part of that community was actually criminalised in Ireland, especially at that time. And that law was not lifted in Ireland on 1993, which is scary because that was not so long ago. The character themselves in the play when they were coming to terms with the way that they were coming to terms with their own sexuality and their own personal journey. I thought the playwright really covered this with such sincerity and sensitivity, so the playwright really deserves credit for that as well. Emigration, this would have been something that would have affected the characters, if not directly then indirectly, whether it be somebody they knew or if they were planning on going. Now the thing was, these women had jobs, but they always longed for going off somewhere else to get better job prospects, better job opportunities, and to improve their own quality of life. And 1980s Ireland saw a time where so many Irish people left to either find work in the UK or the US. At the start of the text, there was also a glossary at the start, and it had different Irish or Dublin sayings that anyone who was not Irish may not be familiar with and what they meant. I did find that a little bit cringy on my end, but at the same time I can appreciate it and understand why it's there, and it was a nice touch for any reader who is not from Ireland as well. Gutted, although it was set in 1980s Ireland, it is still really relevant to a modern audience and really speaks to them as well. Especially with nowadays, we're possibly going to hit a really severe recession. There's been an increase in domestic violence cases since everything went belly up. Now I know that we voted to repeal the 8th Amendment and marriage equality. Now there's still so much work to do in that area, whether it be protecting those in the LGBTQ plus community, and for us really learning and acknowledging the mistakes made by the state when it comes to the mother and baby homes. Gutted, it shows us what affected us in the past and what is still relevant in the present, in order for us to build a better future for our generation and the next generation. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this brief review of Gutted by Sharon Byrne. Thank you so much to Steve Dixon for getting in touch with us again and sharing the script with us. And thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to check out the written blog on evaseco.com and check out all of our socials. Thank you guys.